So, full disclosure, I have not seen the original film that this movie is based off of. And judging by what I just watched, I probably should have just watched the original. But after watching this film, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, what a wild, wild title, by the way. It just left me thinking, is this trope done a million times? Because I feel like it has been. It's not a bad thing, but it's just I feel like I've seen this trope hundreds of times. Especially when I was growing up in the early 2000s, I feel like there was every other year there was a movie or a couple of movies that had this same kind of trope, and suburban mom hires a nanny or caregiver or babysitter or whatever, and then the babysitter has ulterior motives, trying to seduce the husband, and the husband and the boyfriend or whatever was always, takes the bait, takes the bait every time. I mean, do you remember that movie Obsession where it starred Beyonce, Idris Elba, and Ali Larter, the girl from Final Destination? Now that I'm thinking back on it, that movie is just so wrong in so many different levels. But this movie, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, this new version, has all those elements of those tropes I was talking about and adds very small additions to that. So let's talk about the things that worked for me in this film, and there's not a lot. So we'll get through this real quick. But the first thing is Maika Monroe. I think I'm saying her name wrong. Probably. You'll let me know in the comments down below. But she does an amazing job in this film. She does one of my favorite things that actors can do is they act without speaking. They do a lot of facial acting and acting with their eyes and just their facial features. I love when actors do that, and especially when they can do it really well. Just morphing her face, conveying her emotions through those facial features. It's really good. She's honestly probably the only reason why I didn't turn off this movie. It's just seeing her act. Is every time she's on the screen, I was just very invested in wanting to see what her character was going to do. And, just seeing her on presence, I mean, she's not bad to look at either. So, but I really found myself really invested in her character and wanting to see how this whole thing was going to play out with her in particular. And in the end, I didn't get that satisfying ending that I wanted, but we'll get to that later. But I also thought that Mary Elizabeth Winstead did an amazing job as well. Not as good as Maika, not as good as her, but I still think, she did a good job with what she is given, because it's not a lot. She's not given a lot of surface, material to work with. She pretty much just has to play the trope that I've been talking about with those previous films as the suburban mom that is questioning things. She sees this new person in her house who she invited, trying to figure out this mystery and what is behind this person that she has let into her family's life. So I'm always happy to see, the evolution of Ramona from Scott Pilgrim. That's forever how she's going to be known. Also, check out the movie Kate on Netflix. That movie doesn't get enough love. I think it's actually underrated pretty good if you're just looking for a John Wick-esque kind of action film starring Ramona from Scott Pilgrim. Check it out. Because after watching this film, I'm thinking about other films to recommend you. But I do think that this movie does a good job of building up the tension and the suspense and mystery, but then it just uneventfully goes away. And to quote my great friend Venom, it just goes away like a fart in the wind.
So you will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind.
You didn't think you were going to get a Tom Hardy Venom quote in this movie review, did you? And that's kind of the biggest problem with this movie, is that we spent so much time with these characters and trying to build up this tension, and it's kind of teasing you for the first 35 minutes, 45 minutes or so, and you're kind of waiting for that thing to happen, and they do something, and it just kind of is yeah, that's what it is. They also do mix up these random story elements, story side plots, and they come together throughout the film while this tension is building up. But with those elements that they do bring in, it kind of diminishes the tension. You're kind of just okay, now we're talking about this and you're introducing this character, and how does that go with this? It just becomes a jumbled mess in my opinion. There is this defining moment in this film where the two characters confront each other, and then it comes like a big blow off, and then the characters come back together again, and then they start all over again with the whole mysterious and like, I think you're a bad guy kind of. And I was very confused. And if you are confused by my explanation of what I just witnessed, try watching the movie. And at this point, my only hope was the final confrontation. And this isn't a spoiler because you see it in the trailer if you watched it. You know there's going to be an inevitable confrontation between the two suburban mom. The suburban mom and the suburban mom wannabe. You know, they have the clash at the end. And once they do this clash, it's kind of like the rest of the film, you know? They built it up and it looks pretty good in the beginning, but then it kind of just ends and you're kind of sitting there, dang. This could have been really good if they just stuck the landing. But ultimately, I think Disney made the right call in putting this straight to streaming, put it on Hulu, you know, put it for the Huluween kind of thing, even though this year's Huluween kind of sucks. Let me know in the comments down below if you even know what Huluween is. But I look forward to Huluween every year. And this year, they didn't promote it at all. They don't have any horror movies, at least any that are worth talking about. And it's just kind of meh. But yeah, you know, I'm usually an advocate for straight-to-VOD films. You know, hence the name, straight-to-VOD. The #1 place you can get movie reviews for movies that nobody else is talking about. But yeah, this one's kind of a throwaway, it feels for me. It just doesn't really stick that landing. The performances are really good from our top two leads here. Everybody else kind of is like just put in there for shits and giggles. But yeah, if you have a Hulu subscription or Disney Plus subscription or whatever other subscription service that Disney wants us to have nowadays, I would say check it out. If you got an hour and 45 minutes to kill, you know, you can pause the film when it gets boring, and trust me, it will get boring. And then you can just watch the movie that I recommended before. You know, you can watch Kate on Netflix. Better movie. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Have you seen the original film? I think I need to watch it now just to compare, because I'm like, I've been hearing people saying that the original is really good, like a cult classic kind of thing, and I'm like, I kind of like the premise. I mean, heck, I grew up with it. I told you. Grew up with this kind of trope, so I kind of feel like I'm obligated to check it out. But let me know what you think in the comments down below of this film, if you're going to go check it out. If you're not, if you've seen the original, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, this is Straight to VOD. Like I said, the #1 place you can get movie reviews for movies that no one else is talking about. I'll see you later.